All right, right now we are taking all kinds of questions about the child tax credit and those advance payments that are coming starting July 15th. Scott Braddock from Scott Braddock Financial is here with us, as in J.W. DeGance from Jackson Hewitt here in Greensboro. All right, so J.W., this person says, what is considered half year for when two children are carried between two people? Like, who gets the advanced child tax credit?
So the important thing to consider is who's going to be able to claim that child when they file their taxes in 2022 for 2021. It would be 6 months that the person would need to claim. If they're in a situation where they alternate years filing, which does happen, then the one who actually received the credit this past year would want to opt out. And then when available, the other one could opt in when they're allowed to when it opens up in the portal.
Okay. Scott, this person says, my son turned 18 last year. He is still my dependent, and I am a single mom, head of household. Will I get the payment for him?
Right. So, unfortunately in that situation, even though she's still claiming him as a dependent, she would not be entitled to this enhanced child tax credit because he did in fact turn 18 last year. And so he's above that age threshold. However, there is the $500. So obviously every little bit helps in these situations.
Okay. This person says, would it be beneficial for me to opt out of the payments monthly and wait until I file my taxes? JW?
It could very well be very beneficial for you, especially if you're planning to use your refund for a special project, vacation. So that could be very helpful to you. But for others, if you feel like you could use this either $250 or $300 a month, depending on the age of your child, then you may just want to stay and not opt out.
All right, this person says, if you don't normally file taxes, do you get the tax credit for your children? Scott?
Well, if you don't normally file your taxes, you still are entitled to this. However, we need to make sure the IRS has your information so that you can receive the payment, either by bank deposit or check in the mail.
Right, and so there is a portal right now on the IRS, and we'll have that in the Who Wants to Know section, that is specifically for non-filers, and you go in there and you put in your information. All right, so this person says, I have two kids, a 16 and a 17-year-old. I received the letter in the mail from the IRS stating I would only receive $250 a month. Why is that? Because my 17-year-old turns 18 later this year?
That would be right.
That would be correct. Yeah, because unfortunately the IRS sees that child 18 for the entire year, whether they turned 18 January 1st or December 31st. All right, same thing as if your child turns between 5 and 6, that will change your payment as well. Okay, JW, this person says, is there any way to receive full payment July 15th instead of installments, instead of having to wait until the tax time?
Wouldn't that be something? But unfortunately, no. It is in installments, the way it's written.
Okay, so we just got another question about, I just had a baby last month. Do they qualify, and how do I notify the IRS? All right, we're going to show you the timeline of the portals that the IRS is putting in place for all the different things that we all want to tell the IRS when it comes to the child tax credit. So let's look at that timeline so that we'll be able to show you what's coming down the pike and what is already in there. Okay, so you see in June 21st, they had the portal up that allowed you to see if you were eligible, if you needed to unenroll, or to see your list of payments. June 30th, they then made the portal so that you could change your banking information and put in if you changed banks or you have a new bank or whatever it happens to be. Coming in early August, they're going to have the portal set up so that you can change your address. And then the IRS says in their timeline, late summer is where they're going to make the portal that allows you to change the number of your dependents. So if you just had a child this year or you're about to have a child, that's when you'll do that. Marital status, it'll allow you to change your income, and it'll also allow you to re-enroll if you decide you want to unenroll. But again, that does not come until late summer. So those portals are coming. So for folks who ask the questions about when can I change my address or when can I change my number of dependents, that doesn't come until late summer. All right, so let's get back to some of these text questions. This person says, can you repeat what the income tiers are for the child tax credit? JW?
Yes, so for married filing jointly, it's $150,000 or qualifying widow at that same one. It's $75,000 if it's single, and then it's $112,500 for a head of household.
Okay. And this person says, my question is, what if one of my kids turns 18 before December 2021? Will the payments stop before that? And actually, Scott, they're never going to get the payment.
That's right. The IRS knows from previous tax filings the age of your children and when they're going to turn 18, when they're going to turn 6. And so they have a handle on that. And so those payments in that situation they'll never come.
All right. JW, this person is asking, if you owe money on your taxes, will you still get these monthly payments?
Yes, and so the IRS has said that they will still be sending these payments, even if you owe an IRS debt to them, they will still be sending these payments in advance. But then when you reconcile your tax return next year, when you file, any remaining credit that you had would then go towards that tax debt.
Okay. And again, this person said, do I need to unenroll if my daughter's turning 18 at the end of September? And the answer is no, because the IRS is already going to know that. All right, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be back with our last segment and your questions.